All right, here's another absolute value one. So again, just the basic shape should be some kind of V shape. But we got a bunch of other stuff happening to this one. Not just something being multiplied by it, but then something being added to it as well. Not only on the outside, but then again on the inside as well. Okay, now if you want to rewrite that as y equals that stuff, that's fine. Here's what you should not do is distribute this -6. Do not distribute the -6, okay? Even though it is, absolute values are considered parentheses, but that's order of operation stuff, okay? So let's go ahead and start with our table. We got x's and y's. And let's hope that, again, this, kind of the same 6 values will work for us. I think that's 6. 6, there we go. All right, so let's try the same values. I'll say -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now, it's possible, and that's what I mean by this, is graphing stuff kind of being just, you just got to keep working at it until it fits in the graph, because it's possible you may put in some x values and it's like, that didn't really work, or it's some kind of fractional value. That's a piece of crap, right? So you'd have to adjust maybe, and it's possible that we may have to adjust this table so that it will fit on the graph. Maybe it's been moved too far up or too far to the left or right or down. Who knows? But we're going to find out, hopefully, with this first value. -2, x is -2. That's kind of a big equation there, but it's it's y equals. It's -6 times the absolute value of x, but now x is -2. Plus 1, that's the absolute value, plus 5. Okay? I'm going to skip a few steps here just to save myself some space because I'm pretty limited here. But -2 plus 1 is -1, but the absolute value of -1 is 1. Okay, so I got y equals -6 times 1 plus 5. That's -6 times 1 is -6. Then plus the 5 is -1. Okay, so I have this ordered pair, and I could put that on the graph right now, but I want to see what else is going to happen as we move down. In fact, where it kind of reflected on that last one, where it would say -2 is -1, and then maybe 2 would be -1. That's not going to be the case in this one because of all the adding and multiplying and stuff. So let's just go to the next value and see what happens there. Now my x value is -1. So y equals -6 times the absolute value of, now it is -1. But plus 1 plus 5, absolute value plus 5. Okay, so in that absolute value, I got -1 plus 1, which is 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0 plus 5. So it's really just 0 plus 5, which is 5. So I get a corresponding y value that's 5 right there. -1, 5. All right, fair enough. But what about when the x value is 0? Well, you got y equals -6 times the absolute value of 0 plus 1, absolute value plus 5. So I'm going to skip probably more steps than I should right here, but right here I'm going to get, this is where I'm going to get -1. Okay, so just with this information, I can see that it's reflecting between these two values, because the y's, where I had a y value that was -1, now I have another y value that's -1. Okay, now hopefully we'll see the significance of that as we move forward. But let's go down, let's set this next one up. Y equals -6, now it's a positive 1, plus 1, plus 5. Okay, so again, I'm skipping a lot of steps here, but the absolute value 1 plus 1 is 2, -6 times 2 is -12, and then plus 5 makes that -7. And that one will fit on the graph, that's nice. What about this last one where the x value is 2? Well, y equals -6 times the absolute value of 2 plus 1, absolute value plus 5. So again, it's skipping some steps there. It'd be -6 times 3, which is -18, plus 5 is -13. That one's not even going to fit on the graph right there. But we can kind of visualize where that'd be. You got 2, -13, way down here. So let's see what happened, what has happened right here. Okay, so we got -2, -1. That's the red point. -2, -1 here. Then we also have -1, 5. That's over here. In purple. And we got 0, -1. right here, and then 1, -7. 1, -7. And that's all I could fit. Now remember, this kind of creates a little bit of a reflection for us. I can't fit 2, -13, although we could visualize it way down here. So the point where this starts to reflect is right here, this purple point. And again, we'll talk about the significance of that. So this is what this graph looks like. Okay, we see the change in direction, starting from this purple point down here, and then it goes back this way like this. And what you notice, or maybe you've noticed, is that it reflects, so it should have gone through this point. At least if I'd drawn it better, it would have. Well, this is not a V. That's true. It's an upside down V. Why did that happen? It's because of the -6. The 6 was negative being multiplied by that absolute value, which flipped it. Okay, well, why did it shift to the left? Because we got the +1 right there. Why did it shift to the left when it's addition? Don't worry about it. Okay, you'll figure that out in a different class. Well, why is it up here at +5? That's because we added 5 on the outside of the absolute value. Okay, so there's little things that we can do to this in order to shift it leftwards or rightwards and then upwards and downwards. Or even the -6 kind of made this, I would say that's thinner than what we would have expected in the past, but there you go. That is the graph on this one. On canvas, it only needs 2 points, even not just for parabolas, but for this absolute value kind of stuff. It looks like it wants this peak value right here, whether the V is up or down. It wants this point, and then any other point would do. So if you can figure out where that peak is, generally it's within these values that we have for a table. I still recommend putting together a full table, because you just never know on an exam when they're going to be like, hey, I need to see 5 points on this sucker, and then what do you do? See what I'm saying? So I still recommend using these just kind of as a foundation. But the more experience you get with these, whether you want it or not, that's what it will take in order to get this down where it's like, I know exactly where this would be and what it would look like.